So I remember when I first read this book about 10 years ago. This is the 4-Hour Work Week. This is probably the book that changed my concept and like the way I saw how I wanted to live my life and build my future. And if you ask a lot of people will reference this book as being the book that changed their life kind of thing. I've not actually read this book for like 10 years. As you can see, it's a little bit beaten up, tattered. It's got loads of notes on the top of it. This is incredible. If you've ever read this book, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, it's by a guy called Tim Ferriss, who is like a productivity genius guru kind of person. And it's called the 4-Hour Work Week. Escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. I'm going to talk about this in a sec because a lot of people get this wrong. If they've only seen this for the first time, they get the complete wrong idea of what the book is about, because there's a picture of a guy sat in a hammock between two palm trees, your typical you've made it kind of picture. That's not what this book is actually about. Because I remember when I got this book and like my mum saw it for the first time, she kind of thought I don't know what she was thinking, but I think she was thinking it was like some get rich quick scheme. You've just been scammed and bought a book that's going to promise you all this stuff, Alex, that isn't going to deliver anything. But it actually is not that at all. And I want to share in this video how this book has changed my life in maybe some ways that you may not expect. It says on the back here, there's a warning. Do not read this book unless you want a new way of living, which is probably most people. Forget the old concept of retirement and saving for the future. There is no need to wait and every reason not to. Whether your dream is escaping the rat race, experience first-class world travel, earning a monthly 5-figure income with no management, or just living more and working less, this book is the blueprint. This book is about building a dream lifestyle, in my opinion. And when I first read this, I remember I was in Cyprus at like a business mastermind, or maybe it was Spain, and there was a few people that were like, Alex, you have to read this book. And I was a bit like, I'm not really a big fan of reading to start with, but as soon as I read the first 2 or 3 pages, I was completely hooked. And since then I've read it God knows how many times, revisited this book over and over again, listened to the audio version. I will put links in the description if you've not seen this and you want to go and listen or buy this book, but it's unreal. The first thing I took from this book after reading it was it was a blueprint for doing what I wanted to do, doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do. Because I think at the time I was maybe in this part of life where I was working in construction as a joiner and kind of looking to transition to something else. I'd read a lot of stuff about people working online and building incomes online, and that really fascinated me. The whole digital world now and being able to live anywhere you want, work from a laptop is like the dream, or it was the dream, and it still is. That isn't the dream. Like working on a laptop on a beach in palm trees in a hammock is the worst nightmare ever. If you've ever tried working on a laptop on a beach, it's the most stupid thing ever. You get too hot, you need air conditioning in like 5 minutes, and you don't want to get sand on your keyboard. So I don't know why people would even think that's a thing. But being able to do what I wanted, being able to work online and being able to make an income from wherever I was in the world was what I wanted to achieve. And I guess that was the first thing I took from this book. And that's kind of like when I transitioned away from being a joiner to moving into being a personal trainer, which wasn't completely online, but I started to do some online coaching, online training. And it was through that I kind of started learning about copywriting and marketing and being able to use copywriting and marketing skills to get clients for copywriting. And through that, I joined like a mastermind for personal trainers, like a monthly membership it was. And in there, met some people who also recommend this book and kind of put me on the path to learning about this whole online world. And that's where I kind of moved into copywriting, moved away from personal training completely and just worked writing stuff online. If you've never heard of copywriting, it's basically where you write words online and you sell products. So pretty much anything, like that's copywriting, anything in newspapers you read, anything, the written word designed to sell something, that's copywriting. That's like what I used to do, it's called direct response copywriting. That's where my online kind of journey started. And from there, I kind of went down so many different avenues to figure out like what I wanted to do, tried many different things. And I feel like now I'm at a point now where I wanted to talk about this book because it's more than ever where I'm feeling like it resonates with me quite a lot. The 4-Hour Work Week is the name of the title. And it can be a bit misleading because people think that, you know, if you're working like a 9 to 5 or you're working 40, 50 hours a week, like how can you possibly earn an income to survive off working 4 hours a week? When you reach the point where you can, then everything becomes infinitely possible. There's two things that come into making a rich life, as Tim Ferriss calls it. It's not just how much money you have in the bank, it's how much time you have or how much time freedom you have. So the person earning loads of money but has no time to do anything is less rich than the person who is earning not quite as much but has loads more time to do whatever the hell they want. And that's kind of like the path that I'm going down. On that journey, I've kind of figured out how to incrementally increase the amount of money I'm earning from products I've created to things that we're actively involved in. That was the first take from it, being able to live life on my terms and join this thing called the new rich, which sounds a bit cheesy, but if you read the book, you'll know exactly what I mean. The next thing that I took from this book was something called the 80-20 principle, which is 20% of your actions will generate 80% of your results, or you'll get 80% of the things you want from 20% of your inputs. And you can apply this to anything, whether it's hoovering the dog fur off the floor in the house, it's always going to be in 20%. The most the dog hair is going to be in 20% of the places all the time. The amount of money you earn, like 80% of your income is going to come from 20% of your inputs, if you like. And you can apply that principle to literally anything. It's called Pareto's principle. You go and look it up. It's quite interesting. And that was the second thing I took from it. And it was kind of taught me the art of focus, but like in a different sense. I used to be very sporadic, trying a lot of different things to figure out what I wanted. And obviously I've fallen in love with creating videos and sharing my stuff through YouTube. But I used to always think that writing was my thing. And I've had quite a good knack for writing in the past, but the written word wasn't really what I wanted to do. I don't really like expressing myself through the written word. I'd rather just jump on a camera and share stuff like this and talk about what I'm interested in. And that's kind of like where my whole journey went with YouTube. So if you could take Pareto's principle and apply it to YouTube. So a lot of my income now and a lot of my a lot of my freedom comes from creating videos. And that's like one portion of the things that I get up to in life. The next thing that on here is, again, touching on freedom and flexibility. So going back to this 4-hour work week concept, it's funny when you actually get on the path to doing what you want to do, because you end up working more hours. If you're currently doing something you don't like I was in construction, and you're working loads of hours, getting paid for how many hours you put in, which is crazy, you kind of like, when you get away from that and you realize like you can be paid like for your actual skill, not the amount of time you put in, like your time becomes infinitely more valuable, which is what enables you to work less if you want to. But the caveat with this is, when you start doing stuff that you want to do and working on stuff that you want to work on, you end up working more hours. I can tell you now that I work more than 40 hours a week on what I'm doing, which is way more than a 9-to-5 job. It doesn't really feel like work because it's like what I want to do. So I wake up in the morning, kind of most mornings, with a clear idea of what I want to work on. I'm kind of excited to get up and start working. Sometimes I can't go to bed at night and sleep at night because I've got so many ideas like fizzing around my head. And that for me is like so exciting, rather than feeling like you're in this mundane cycle of doing something you don't want to do. And that was, again, where this changed things for me. And it talks all about this new rich lifestyle in here. It talks about, there's a lot of time management stuff. And even though this book is now, how old is this book? This book must be 10 years old now. All the principles in here still apply to everything right now. Some of the things in here obviously are changed now because of all the AI technology improvements and stuff, but you can definitely apply everything. And it still smells like an old book. But I made tons of notes for this, tons and tons of notes. Loads of case studies in here as well, which is super interesting. And people doing really, really interesting stuff. And what Tim Ferriss also says in here is, like, whatever you have a passion for, there is an audience for it. I think one of the examples he uses in the book, like, you could make a YouTube channel, or you can share whatever you're passionate about, and all you need is 1,000 true fans, 1,000 people paying you a small amount of money every single year or every single month for products and services you offer, is all you need to create this new rich life and actually do whatever it is that you want to do for a living. You don't need much. People seem to think that if you want to start a business or you want to go your own path or whatever, you have to have like a massive following, or you have to have loads of money, or it's all not true. You only need 1,000 true fans. True fans meaning the people that will literally buy anything and everything you put out. And there's 8 billion people in this world. 1,000 people of 8 billion is like such a small percentage, it's tiny. And there is an audience for literally everything. Like, I have YouTube channels now on my mountain bike adventures, which is quite a big channel now. And then I've also started sharing more about audience growth, social media growth, and that sort of stuff on this channel. And then I have another channel which is called Action Cam Guy, which is all about sharing action camera tutorials. And there's an audience for every single one of those things. And those are the things that I'm passionate about talking about. So I like just turning the camera on, talking about stuff like this. Although this isn't directly related to making YouTube videos, this is the thing that put me on the path to making YouTube videos. So this is like a bigger picture idea. And if you've not read this book, there will be links in the description below, but I strongly recommend you go and check it out. If you've read it before, go and reread it or re-listen to it. Don't be one of them people that just reads books for the sake of it. I've become more of a fan now of reading and taking in less information, but from the same source. Instead of reading like 1,000 books once, why don't you just read 5 books over and over and over again, apply the principles, implement them. Like this is literally Tim Ferriss's life's work in a book, which is amazing. And there's millions of these books available. Just pick one that resonates for you. This one for me was one of the best I've ever written. So if you've not read it, go check it out. I hope that little bit of information was useful and you found my little story interesting.